Patora dAbba, the Shulchan Aruch Ari Kadosh. We're on page Yudalit, page 14, Ot Yudbet, the 12th Ot, 12th Siman. So we were talking about the halachot, or a person coming inside a Bet HaKnesset, right? The things that you have to do, things you have to say, right? So he says over here, V'achar she'amarta pasuk zeh b'tach Bet HaKnesset, what pasuk? V'bevet Elohim nalech beragesh. When you come to the shul, you have to say a pasuk we learned last week. V'ani berov chazdecha, avo betecha, ishtachaveh lechal kodshecha b'yiratecha. We learned this last week. And then you have to say, Bevet Elohim nalech beragesh. To God's house we walk with trepidation, beragesh, with excitement. Right? That was the one halacha David HaMelech learned from Achitophel. Achitophel was the grandfather of Bat-Sheva. And that's why Achitophel thought he's going to be the king. Because just like Korach, he saw a star shoot out for him. Achitophel also saw a star shoot out for him. Shalom Aleichem. Come, so we just started. Achitophel also saw a star shoot out for him. He didn't realize it's his grandson, Shalom. But really, it was talking about David's kid, not Achitophel himself. So because David learned that halacha from Achitophel, he called him Bata Alufi Yudai. You're my general. You're my king. You're my number one. Alufi means my Aleph. Aleph is first letter in my number one. All right. It says over here, Velo tomar pasuk zeh achar shenasta. You're not allowed to say the pasuk once you come into the shul. You have to say it before you walk into the shul. He says it's a minhak ta'ut. Whoever says this pasuk when they come into the shul. Okay, so before you walk into the shul, before you open the door, you say, "Va'ani berov chazdecha avo beitecha ishtachaveh elechal kodshecha b'yiratecha." Then you say, "Bevet Elohim nahalech beragesh," and then you walk inside the Bet HaKnesset. Okay, and you have to have kavanah of the Shem Hashem Aleph Bet Gimel Yud Taf Tzadik, which is the Reshet Tevot of Ana Bekoach Gidulat Yiminecha Tatir Tzrura. That's also the gematria of beragesh, with excitement. Okay? So the Shem Hashem, which is the last letter of Hashem, the Shem Hey of Yud Kei Vav Kei, is inside the Bet HaKnesset. Is inside the Bet HaKnesset, and the Bet HaKnesset is called the Malchut Shchinta Kadisha. That's why it's called in the house of God. I will walk beragesh. Why in the house of God? Shehia Shechina. The Bet HaKnesset is the Shechina, is the divine presence itself. That's why a person, even if he doesn't have a minyan, if he has the chance to pray in a shul, he should pray in a shul. Because by praying in a shul itself is besod praying with the Shechina, is praying with the Shechinta Kadisha. And therefore we say the three psukim, Vani Berov Chasdecha. Over there we take permission from Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Okay? This we all did last week. When a person says the pasuk, it's like he's taking permission from Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Okay? And it says over here, Veda, and no, we're in the next siman. Ki af al pi she'akavana kolelet v'kol hayamim b'chol gimel zmei tefilot sheb'chol yom v'yom. Because even though this kavana of Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Yud, Taf, Tzadik, right? Ana bekoach gidulat yiminecha tiyeh tzrura. So basically you walk into the shul, before you walk in, you say, Bevet Elohim nahalech beragesh. When you say beragesh, you got to think Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Yud, Taf, Tzadik. Because even though you have to do this 3 times a day, Shecharit, Mincha, and Arvit, there's a small difference. He says, on the first day of the week, B'yom HaRishon shel HaShavua, תכוון בפרטות של אות אחד של שם הזה. ותכוון אות זה גוברת ביום הזה באופן זה. Says, Ana בכוח גדולת ימיניך תתיר צרורה. That's 6 letters, right? So on the first day of the week, when you say this pasuk, have in mind that the letter Aleph is bigger than all the other letters. And that letter is Keneget Sunday, Yom Rishon, and it's Gover Shefa HaChesed in all the days, okay? And the second day, Ot Bet. Third day, Ot Gimel. So Aleph, Bet, Gimel is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Anna Bekoach Gedulat. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Aleph, Bet, Gimel. And then he says, V'ot Yud, and the Yud, B'yom Revi'i. V'ot Taf, B'yom Chamishi. The letter Taf is in Thursday. V'ot Tzadik, B'yom Shishi. Alright? But he doesn't tell us what do we do on Shabbat. That's the next one. Ve'inyan kavana zot tikaven b'chol gimel tefilot. He says this kavanah you have to have in all 3 tefillot. Yom Rishon Aleph, and therefore. So therefore, once again to review, you come inside the shul. The Ari Kadosh says in Shara Kavanot, before you walk in, you say, Bevet Elohim nehalech beragesh. When you say beragesh, think, Ana bekoach gidulati minecha tzrura avag yatatz. But think the Aleph is bigger than all the other. On the second day, think the Bet is bigger than all the other letters. The Tuesday, the Gimel. Then the Yud, then the Tav, and the Tzadik. That's 6. What about Shabbat? On Shabbat, you think of the last of the Ana bekoach. Shabbatenu kabel ushma tzakatenu yodea ta'alumot. Shakav tzit. Right? Let's finish the kavanah of Shabbat. Ki as, next one, Yudalet. Ki as tekaven bayom ha'u el shem mem bet ha'acharon shehu shekav tzit shavatenu kabel u'shema tzakatenu yodeat halomot shehu Hashem hagover bekulan. V'hu nechlach legimel chalukot. And this name is split into 3 different parts. Why? It's 6 letters. Every 2 pairs, every 2 letters is a pair. So Shin Kuf, Vav Tzadik, Yud Tav. In Shacharit, it's going to be what? Shin Kuf. And then you come in, in Aravit, Shin Kuf, Shacharit, and then you come in for Mincha, it's going to be Yud Tav, okay? Belel Shabbat, it's Shin Kuf, right? So Shin Kuf is how much? Shin is how much? 400. Shin Kuf. Just Lel Shabbat. So Shakav Tzit, Shavatenu Kabel. Shin Kuf is 400. Sak. When we learned last week's parasha that Esav came with 400 men, so the power of Shabbat Kodesh, of Aravit Shehel Shabbat, which is the Shin Kuf of Shavatenu Kabel Ushmat Zaganet Halumot, cancels out the koach of Esav. Haraya, that the Ari Kadosh says that we have a halacha called Tchum Shabbat. You can't leave Alpaim Amma outside the ear. 2,000 Amot outside the ear, you can't leave, right? Why can't you leave? The Ari HaKadosh explains in Shara Kavanot that 2,000 Amot is called Eretz Edom. And how do you uplift the Shekhinah? Already in Leil Shabbat, it goes up. So, small chidush as we're learning, Shabbatenu Kabel is 400. You're destroying the 400 men of Esav by Kabbalat Shabbat and Aravit. When you pick up the Shekhinah, and Esav stays Be'eretz Edom, and there's no touching of Yaakov. Torah Lishma. Ubeboker Yom Shabbat, Vav Tzadik, and Mincha Yutav. Okay. Also, another interesting kavanah. When a person davens, when he says Kadosh, 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 right? You have to have the kavanah also of Ana Bakoach Gedulati Menecha Tir Tzurura. When you say Kadosh, 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 right? No, in the Shmona Yisrael, not in the sitting down one. Oh. You have to have this kavanah. Why specifically the first one, not any other one? Why specifically have kavanah on the first one? Not kabel, not amcha, not gibor. First one and last one on Shabbat. First one during the whole week and in the Kiddusha. Why? You guys know why? Because the first one is Keneged Chesed. We want the power of Chesed to be mitgaber in all parts of our life. We need a lot of Chesed right now. Right? So when you do Kadosh, 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 we have 3 times Kadosh. When? Shacharit and then Mincha. Right? In Shacharit, when you say Kadosh, 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 you have the kavanah, the second letters of Ana Bekoach Gidulati Minecha. Gimel, Yud. In Mincha, when you say Kadosh, 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 you think of Aleph, Bet. What about the Tav Tzadik? When do we have that? We don't do 3 Kiddushas. When do we have 3 Kiddushas? Only on Shabbat. The Kiddusha of Mincha of Shabbat is a very high level. That's the only time of the week, says the Ari, that we have the kavanah when you say Kadosh, 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 of the Tav and the tzaddik to be mitgaber chesed, not only for the past week, but for all the week coming to us. It's a very high level, never to miss Kiddusha. Right? The meaning of Kiddusha is to add Kiddusha. That's the whole point of Kiddusha, right? Kadosh, there is Kodesh, I'm already holy. Then there is Kadosh. What's Kadosh? I'm adding holiness. How do you add holiness? The word Kadosh means to be secluded. That's why when you say Hare'at Mikudeshetli, what are you saying? You're holy to me? You're not saying you're holy to me. You're saying you're secluded to me. You're mine. You're loyal to me. You understand? That's the chidush over here. Gam tzarich lekaven. Also, you have to have kavanah. Begimel pa'amim shomim vayachulu belel Shabbat. Right? Every time, how many times we say vayachulu on the night of Shabbat? How everybody say? Before we start Shmona Yisrael, we say vayachulu Hashemayim va'aretz. After the Kiddush is the last one. after the Shmona Yisrael, we say Vayachulu Hashamayim, and then in Kiddush we say Vayachulu Hashamayim. These three Vayachulu Hashamayim, what's the kavanah over there? When you say Vayachulu, you have to think in the letter Shin, right? When you say Vayachulu, why? At that moment, the Netzach Hod in Yesod, Netzach Hod Yesod is how many Sfirot? 3. 3 is which letter? Shin. Only the Shin has 3 heads. So you have to think of the letter Shin. Why? At that moment, the Netzach Hod in Yesod of Zah, the 4th system, is going inside the Malchut. Right? And in Vayachulu HaSheni, you have to think of the letter Kuf. Right? Vayachulu HaShlishi, you have to think of the Chokhmah, Bina, and Dat. So what happens? Every Vayachulu we say, you're going up a level. See, Tefillah is not 1, 2, 3. Why am I saying, a person asks you, why do I have to say Vayachulu HaShemayim Ba'aretz 3 times? Why? So there's no answer to the Pshat. Why should I say Vayachulu 3 times? If I didn't have Kavanah the first time, I'd have Kavanah the second time? Elama says Dari HaKadosh. The answer is the Fi Sod, because the whole Tefillah is Miditkan al Fi Sod. Everything, the whole Tefillah. In the first Vayachulu, I'm going up level. See, the Malchut, the Shekhinah, she's missing a lot of Shefa during the week. Why? It's the time of the Galut. The whole Shabbat is Geula. Shabbat is Kedusha. Shabbat is like Olam Haba. It's main Olam Haba. When you say the first Vayachulu, I'm hinting at that moment the Shekhinah is going up to the Netzach Hod and Yesod of Zah, the 4th system, right? So if you would imagine, Lahavdil, let's say a woman, she reaches only her husband's hip. It's a very small level. There's no zivug at that moment. At the second Vayachulu, Lahavdil, she's going up to the Chesed, Givurah, and Tiferet. And in the last Vayachulu that you make in the Kiddush, she's going up to Eschabad. So by doing that, what are you basically doing? You're fixing the Tikkun by keeping Shabbat of the moon, quote unquote, that made the Kitrug, right? Because Hashem said to her, go back down. And by keeping Shabbat, what are we doing? We're bringing her back up, and that's why it's considered Me'en Ha'olam Haba, because what's going to happen in Olam Haba? Va'or Levana Ka'or Chama. The same. It's going to be head to head, like this. Understand? Then it goes back down, because it cannot stay in the same level the whole time. Remember, all the tikkunim we do to the Shekhinah only happens for that moment. After that moment, it goes back down. In the time of the Beit HaMikdash, it would stay that way. That's why Am Yisrael was very high up during that time. We're waiting right now for that. That's why we know we're not in the Geulah right now. We're still in the Galut. Why? Even though we have Eretz Yisrael, Yerushalayim is still not in our hands. That part of Yerushalayim that we're in, that's West Yerushalayim. That's not the real Yerushalayim. Where is the real Yerushalayim? Mizrach Yerushalayim, Har HaZeitim, and so on and so forth. Who lives over there? The Aravim. You understand? That's what it says, Shu'alim Kitanim, right? Mechablim Yilchu Bo. So when a person davens, he should know we're still in the Galut. How do we know we're in the Geulah? When the name of Klal Yisrael goes up. When the name, Vera'u Kol Amei Ha'aretz Ki Shem Hashem Nikra Alecha. But until that's not going to happen, you could have Eretz Yisrael, you could have everything. It doesn't really make a difference, because Am Yisrael's name is still down. It doesn't mean anything, right? So we see the kavanah, Rabbi Isai, just to leave here with some, with the kavanah. Am Yisrael, when you come to daven, it's all connected to Shemot HaKodesh. And those Shemot HaKodesh are connected to Sfirot. So just by walking in a shul right now, as you're here, if I'm thinking right now, I'm in Bet Elokim, I'm inside the Malchut. It's like I'm going back, it's like I'm inside a mikveh right now. Understand? I'm inside a sukkah right now. I'm inside the Shekhinah right now. And I come out of the Bet Knesset with new powers. That's why they say, a study was done, that a person who comes to shul in the morning, he actually lives longer. Why is that? Psychologically, he feels good seeing people he knows in the morning, he's praying to Hashem, he feels better, comes out with faith. But spiritually, it's because he's recharging his neshama. It's unbelievable. That's why it's good not to skip even one day of minyan. All right, let's do 1 or 2 more, okay? Oh, if I could do this with you guys, it's gonna be mashu kadosh. After you come into the shul, says the Ari Kadosh, Shamati b'shem mori. Rabbi Chaim Vital says, I heard in the name of my Rav. Look inside Tet Vav. The letters are gonna heal your eyes, by the way. שבכניסתו ישתחווה. Well, as you walk in, after you said the pasuk, you walk in, you bow towards the hechal. Not a total bow, you don't have to fall on the floor. A small bow, like we do in the small modim. And you say, the mizmor Elokim Yochanin Varchenu. That's the mizmor on the menorah over here. Elokim Yochanin Varchenu. There are 7 psukim in this mizmor. וכנגדם יקיף 7 הקפות. Every time you say a mizmor, you have to do 1 hakafa. That means every single day, before you come in to put on your talit and tefillin, you have to make 7 hakafot. Every hakafa, you say one of the psukim in the mizmor. First pasuk, Elokim Yochaninu Vevachenu Ya'er Parat HaNazela. Second, Ladad Baris Dakecha V'Hol Goyim Yeshuatecha. Why? Do you guys know why? This teva is the malchut itself. It's the malchut of the malchut. And amza. When I'm doing the hakafa, I'm mamshich all the 7 sfirot to the nukba, to the Shekhinah herself. And like this, I'm memaleh the Shekhinah, and I'm memaleh the malchut of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and I'm picking it up. Right? Lakama Shekhinah ma'afera. Here is a proof that the Ari HaKadosh used to pray if he has Faradim. Where was his teva? Be'emtza bet HaKnesset. Where would he daven? In the middle of the shul. Keneged ha'echal, not to the side of the hechal. Right? It was in the middle of the hechal. V'tov hu sheikaven ligmor pasuk echad b'chol hakafa ma'ashivah ad shigmor 7 hakafot v'shav psukim. You have to finish 7 hakafot and 7 psukim. V'omnam b'yom ha'shabbat, what would he do on Shabbat? Rak hakafa achat. He would only do 1 hakafa. Keneged shavatenu kabel. He would do the whole thing, but it's connected. Ad kan shamati b'shem mori. So therefore, lefi ha'ari HaKadosh, if you want to follow the Ari HaKadosh, before a person wears techelet and all that stuff, first he has to know pshat of shar kavanot. Person comes in the Beit HaKnesset, he does the Vani Barov Chazdecha, he walks inside, he bows to the Eichal. Right away, he has to do Shiv'ah hakafot. Every hakafa is a pasuk of the Lamnatseach. That's why we put that Lamnatseach with the menorah on the parochet. It's keneged that. And on Shabbat, he only does 1 hakafa. Because Shabbat is keneged bina. Bina ima ila'a. That's the 3rd system. It's higher than za. It's keneged partzuf bina. Over there, it's only 1. It's not 7. In za, it's 7. In the bina, it's only 1. So we do 1 hakafa. עד כאן שמעתי בשם מורי, אבל אני ראיתי שהוא היה לבית כנסת ולא היה מקיף שום הקפה. But he says, when I used to see my Rebbe, he wouldn't, sometimes I would see him not do any הקפות, ואפשר כי בשביל שלא היה מן העשר ראשונים, לפי שהיה מתאחר לבוא. לכן לא היה מקיף מפני הרואים שנראה כנראה לעניות דעתי. So here's over here, when I used to see my Rebbe, apparently the Ari HaKadosh, at least in the beginning, he explained Reb Chaim Vital, he didn't have his own shul. So he didn't want to show like ga'ava, like I'm doing hakafot while everybody else is sitting. And you know, it's fat at that time. Everybody over there was a giant in Torah. If you see the Igeret of Tzfat, they used to go to work at 2 in the afternoon, all of them. Actually, they would finish their Gemara, the Mishnah. Used to work for 2-3 hours, and that's when they would go back to the yeshiva. So Reb Chaim does it. A lot of times I would see my Rebbe, he wouldn't do the hakafot, because he would always come to shul late, because he was sick. He used to have problems with atzirut and hemorrhoids. So therefore, he would come to shul very late, and he would come to shul with talit and tefillin, and then he said, I wouldn't see him do the hakafot. He says, because I think he didn't want to show like it's ga'ava in front of everybody to do the hakafot. That's an interesting point. And one more thing. Gam ra'iti lemorizal. We're going to finish the chapter. 2 more pieces, and that's it. Gam ra'iti lemorizal otet zayin. Shenishar betachlit hazirut. My Rebbe was so careful. Gabriel is going to like this one. Shelo ledaber bebet hakneset b'shal tefillah. He wouldn't speak in shul during the tefillah. Ve'afilu divrei mosar. He wouldn't even speak divrei Torah in shul. Even divrei Torah, like what we're doing right now, he wouldn't do.
Where would he learn?
He had a base medrash. Back then, their Beit Midrash and their Beit Knesset was two separate places. We connect the two of them, but his base medrash, from what we learned from the Ari, was in a separate place. Because we know He had a base medrash that would go 24 hours a day. Rav Chaim Vital used to learn with him after midnight. That was his slot. Okay? They wouldn't all learn together, the Chaverim. Rav Chaim Vital, his time was from in the Chatzot Laila until dawn. That's why a lot of times we see Rav Chaim Vital is asking the other students, what did you learn with the Rebbe? This, that. Like, they would share notes. So he says that I saw my Rebbe, he wouldn't even give Divrei Torah. He says, Kim'at. He said, that means, what does Kim'at mean? He says, almost. That means sometimes he would. But most of the time he was so careful. Why? So if this is like the Shekhinah, when I speak in the shul nonsense, it's like I'm doing Zera Lavatala. Because my words will be the zera, but the comparison, it's like the zera. And I'm speaking things that are not Divrei Torah, it's like I'm putting Chas v'Shalom, I'm doing it levatara. You understand? So that's the comparison. If this is the malachut and I'm the yesod, then whatever comes out of my mouth is what? It's the tipot. So Chas v'Shalom, to speak something that's not connected to the shul, it's an illusion with an A. An allusion to Chas v'Shalom, that avera. In that level. So he was very careful not to speak it. Even Divrei Musar. Why? You speak Musar, then eventually what does it get to? What does it get to? To other stuff. Jokes, this, that. Also in their time. Alright? Afilu tshuva lo ratza ledaber. He wouldn't even want to speak words of tshuva. Kedei shelo yavo lidivrei chol. So it wouldn't lead to divarim shel chol. These days we're more meked. Huh? In the base medrash, you would speak Divrei Torah. You would learn Torah in the base medrash. Base medrash is not a Beit HaKnesset. It's a different kedusha, right? Siman, what is it? Nun Dalet, Nun Hey, something over there. Shulchan. There's two different kedushas. It's not the same kedusha, right? Gam Ri'itiv Nizhar Milirok Beit HaKnesset. He was very careful not to spit in shul. That's why when I used to do Aleinu L'Shabeach, I used to do like the Chabadnikim. I used to the Hevel Varik, when they say, once I learned this, I said, Chai, whatever, the Chabadnikim yishtem al malismoch. So I learned like, listen, I can't do that anymore. So I stopped. You can spit in the Beit HaKnesset. Huh? When they say, Vehem yishtachavim leHevel Varik, right? They always go like this, and they, as if they're stomping on the Rik. You know what I mean? But why wouldn't he spit in shul? For the same reason as before, not to speak, to cause Chas v'Shalom, ke'ilu, like the same allusion to what we just said. And also because you're making people disgusted. You're making people disgusted. Person sneezes, like an animal. Disgusting. It makes people disgusted. It's big avera. So he was careful. Vim nizdamen, let's say he had a lot of mucus and he had to get it out. Hayab mavli o betalito. He would take his talus and he would, like this, or he would get it out privately. O bolo, he would swallow it bigrono. And it says the Rabbi Chaim Vital's son, Rabbi Shmuel Vital, it's better if he would leave shul and spit it out than show it to people. Completely, even in his talus. Right? And one more, and the last part, and I also used to see my Rebbe, the Ari HaKadosh, and Machaya, it is to learn the minhagim of the Ari HaKadosh. It's a different level. I used to see my Rebbe, he always used to pray from the Siddur. Never by heart. Always pray from the Siddur in Hebrew. No, that's Shmonai. That's the next part. But Shmonai, he would always pray by heart. When we will know the kavanot like the Ari HaKadosh, then we can pray by heart. We pray from the Siddur. But here's the secret. In the Chazara, huh?
You pray Shmonasa from the Siddur?
Of course. In the Chazara, the Ari HaKadosh would also close his eyes and be mekaven with the Chazan. So seemingly, what do we see over here? That he would hold as if he's still in Shmonai Yisrael. It's a very high level. It's hard to do that. It's hard to stop the talking. Kol shekek to sit over there, but same einav, and they've told, listen, Rabbi said today we learned some crazy stuff. Baruch Hashem. Well, that's it. That's until here we're gonna go. I want to say you one kaf chaim though. I see over here Kafahayim from we're learning all the kavanot of the Minhagei Ha'ari, something from the Rashash. Let's end something with the Rashash. As the Kafahayim brings us down. וראיתי להרב החסיד, המקובל המופלא, רבינו שלום שרעבי, the Rashash, שהיה נזהר לדבר שום דבר חול, קודם שיתחיל התפילה והזמירות. He wouldn't even speak anything before he would start tefillah. He wouldn't speak. He would be b'tani dibur until he would start to pray. והיה אומר שכן צריך על פי הסוד. That's the right way to act לפי הסוד. Wow. ברוך ה' לעולם ועד.